What's going on, guys? My name is Jack and welcome back to a brand new episode of The Lion's Den, and today we're going to be talking about why I think the biggest problem with Destiny 2 is not Bungie. And before we get into it, I just want to acknowledge that this is going to be bringing up some pretty controversial opinions within the community. A lot of people are going to either disagree or agree with me pretty heavily. And I just want to say that this is very much my opinion, and I want to have a discussion about these things with you guys. Either in the comment section down below, on Reddit, or on Twitter, which you can also find in the description. So, anyways, getting right into it, I think the biggest problem with Destiny 2 in its current state is kind of this outrage culture within certain sections of the community. I mean, the way I see it, Destiny 2 definitely did not launch in a good state. There were problems, there were a lot of bugs, crashes, and errors. There were also problems with balance within the Crucible, and all in all, there were a lot of things that, I think let down people within the launch. But the one thing that struck me right away was that it wasn't like Bungie just did this and then not say anything. Bungie has been very much on top of communication. They've been on top of bug fixes. They've been on top of letting us know that things are on the mend. I think very much Destiny 2 was a victim of being rushed because of the deadline and the hype. And obviously, you have that hype train pretty much being driven by Activision, and obviously Activision is a very stringent company. So I imagine there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes with the development of Destiny 2 that we didn't know about, and that probably hindered it from being a better version of itself by the time the launch date came around. But the thing is, ever since launch, Bungie has been doing nothing but outlining changes and going through on those changes and saying that we are committed to making Destiny 2 as great as it could possibly be. Yet still, there are people who every time they make these comments are like, fuck Bungie, this is the worst part of the game. Bungie should stop developing Destiny. They're the worst parts of it, fuck Bungie. And all I have to say to that is, are we reading these same articles? Are you reading the same, weekly blog posts from Bungie that I am? Because that's not the feeling I get. The feeling I get is that this game is growing. This game is constantly changing. They're actively taking our feedback and working on it and making the game better based off of our expectations and what they're also seeing behind the scenes. I've done a couple interviews with developers in the past, not specifically Bungie, because frankly I'm not well known enough to land that kind of deal, but all developers that care about their game value community feedback immensely. And it's kind of this give and take, how much you use community feedback versus what you see behind the scenes to make these balance changes. And so far, it seems like Bungie's definitely heavily leaning onto us and what we want for making the game better. And now that Curse of Osiris has been out, for a couple weeks, which by the way, I have a review on Curse of Osiris coming out pretty soon, it seems like they've done nothing but make good strides forward with regards to bugs, with regards to changes that weren't received well, and the future going forward. Pretty much all the major bugs with Curse of Osiris were fixed within a week. That is a spectacular turnaround. Not only that, they've made a lot of productive changes to the day-to-day play with this expansion. Both in the initial first update and then with the Masterwork changes a week later, the game is in a very healthy state right now. Yes, the endgame is not perfect, and yes, there are still big issues with variety and keeping up the grind as an endgame player, but at the same time, we are making strides forward, and once now we're getting into the new year with some of the stuff that they outlined like a month or two ago, Destiny 2 is only going to get better and better. So I think it's only holding us back for there to be people who are still right away jumping to Bungie just fucks everything up every update, because I don't think that's the case. In Crucible, right now the meta has never been healthier. There's more variety in weapons than ever. There are still exotics that don't feel good, but they added really nice exotics with the update. And generally speaking, the balance of everything feels much better now that some of the problem guns have been nerfed, like the high cal, 450 auto rifles and like mine multi-tool. I just don't see the reason why there are still kind of people who just instantly jump to Bungie is still the biggest problem with this game, because I don't think that's the case. I think one of the biggest things that's holding Destiny 2 back in terms of what I'm seeing within the community, and I know this is where I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off. I think we need to let Destiny 1 just go. We need to let the thoughts of Destiny 1 be put aside. Destiny 2 is its own game, its own beast. It's going to be whatever it is, subset from Destiny 1. Yes, there are Destiny 1 exotics. Yes, there are Destiny 1 locations in Destiny 2. But the sandbox is its own thing. It's its own beast. It's totally different than the sandbox of Destiny 1. We cannot sit here and be like, oh, this is worse than Destiny 1. This is never going to be Destiny 1. Because that's the case. That's exactly the case. This game will never be Destiny 1. It is going to be its own thing. And we can shape that into something that we can all enjoy with productive feedback and showing the devs that we're willing to work with them. If we just keep on, put arms and be like, this shit is so worthless, I'm going back to D1. This game will never get better. Alright? Right now, the game is on a productive upward trend. I feel like Crucible is in one of the best places it's ever been since launch. I'm really enjoying it. And like some of the grind, like with the prophecies at the end of the expansion, and a lot of the new stuff to explore has been really interesting. And right now I'm playing Destiny 2 more than I ever have because my interest is held more than it's ever been. And they're going to keep adding on to that. Obviously the Dawning launched this week, at least when I'm recording this. And there are people saying that, oh, this game is just microtransaction riddled, Eververse is ruining this game. No, because straight up, if you've been holding on to your Bright Dust, which most of us have, you can buy all the Dawning armor sets that Eververse is selling for Bright Dust every week of this 4-week event and get it all for free and just grind. You can do that. You do not have to drop a single cent to get a full benefit from this Dawning event. And that's what pisses me off, is there are a lot of people who are just kind of blindly calling out Bungie on shit that Bungie doesn't need to be called out on. There are things that rightfully we need to criticize Bungie of, right? There's still not really a whole lot of variety in loot. There's no strike-specific loot. There's no real reason to run the raid lair versus the regular Leviathan raid because there's not a whole lot of unique gear and you don't get as much gear as the regular Leviathan raid. But these are all legitimate issues with the game. There are still bugs, like the fact that you don't get your weekly milestone raid engram anymore, like your Luminous engram from completing the raid every week. Those are legitimate issues, and those are times when we have to come together and be like, hey Bungie, this is not okay, right? Like with the Prometheus lens, when the expansion launched, we instantly knew this thing was broken, and within a day, Bungie was like, hey, this is bugged, we have a patch ready when it launches next week, and we will fix this. And they even went as far as to let Xur sell the weapon to try and even the odds so that people who had gotten lucky on the first days of the expansion didn't just have a dominant advantage in Crucible, and within a week they fixed it. Prometheus lens, gone, not a problem. These are all very productive things that Bungie are doing, and there are still people who are like, they're just fucking up the game. I don't understand it. This is not going to help Destiny 2 progress. And frankly, 2018 looks like a very bright future for this game. We have ranked play on the way. We have more improvements to loot and the endgame. Strike specifically has been hinted at. With a massive rework coming to the mod system. And we have, Masterwork armor coming along. The whole Masterwork system, I think, has been a big breath of fresh air that can be, innovated on and kind of find this happy medium between random rolls from D1 and the fixed roll system here in D2. So the future for Destiny 2 looks really great. But yet there's still this dissent within the community. And I think it's only going to hold us back, as I said. So, going forward, I hope that Bungie continues to communicate in the way that they are right now, because this is some of the best developer interaction that I've seen from a game in a long time, especially from a AAA developer, a developer of this size. They are right there. If you follow them on Twitter, they're constantly tweeting out new articles or links to help pages, FAQs, the weekly blog post. They have their finger right to the pulse of the community. They are watching, they are listening, and they are fixing things in record times for Bungie. I don't think the game is perfect. The game still has issues. But they are quickly and effectively making changes to make the game better almost, as frequently as they can. I know it's kind of a tired old excuse, but game development is slow. When the game launched, they were probably already, well into developing Curse of Osiris. So it wasn't feasible for them to make big sandbox changes with Curse of Osiris. But now going forward, we have the expansion in early 2018, more sandbox changes coming. They've had these months to start making these changes, these big changes we need to the loot and to the mod system and all of that. And that's coming along very soon. And this one, people are going to start realizing that Destiny 2 is actually in a much better place than people are giving it credit for. And ultimately, I think that the potential for Destiny 2 is far greater than Destiny 1 ever had at any other point. And that's because Bungie has the experience of developing Destiny 1 for 3 years, with them when it comes to making the decisions going forward in this game. And I think that's showing. Destiny 2, for me right now, is very fun. It's very enjoyable, and it's only going to get better. As long as Bungie continues the communication, and we continue to give constructive feedback to them. Outrage helps nothing, and if you truly don't like the game, then stop playing. Because you're just screaming into the void. No one is going to acknowledge people who are just telling them to fuck off. It's never going to happen. Anyways, guys, that's all I really have to say on this topic. If you agree or disagree, whatever you're thinking, let me know in the comments down below. Also on the Reddit page where I'm going to be posting this, or you can, tweet at me on Twitter. I am going to be very active in replying here because I want to hear what you guys have to think. Anyways, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel for more. I have a Curse of Osiris review coming out very soon. Also, there are plenty of other creators here on the Nerds Mirage channel making awesome content. I do have to plug that me and another creator, also my brother Jesse Tiv, just did a great review on Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's kind of like a little podcast that we're trying to do. Make sure you guys check that out if you're interested in listening to a good spoiler review of the movie. Other than that, my name is Jack. This has been another episode of The Lion's Den, and I will catch you next time.
Yo.